I've got push button start, of course. It's a bit funny, you know, starting a Hilux and not hearing that characteristic diesel clatter into life. But yeah, that's on now, basically. You've also got a Lexus style of gear selector system. You just push it to the side and down and up. We've also got multiple drive modes we can go through. And then the multi-terrain select as well. So it doesn't have low range or a diff lock or anything like that, but in my experience, Toyota traction control systems are very, very good off-road. So it's basically relying on that technology. We'll take it off-road soon and just see what that's like as a bit of a preview. Thinking about buying a fully electric Toyota HiLux? Yeah, I didn't think so. Toyota is now offering one. You can get it in 2 trim levels, the SR and the SR5, in double cab chassis or full twin cab style side. It shares the same ladder frame platform as the regular diesel HiLux, except wedged in there is a 52 kilowatt hour battery, sending power to 2 electric motors that combine to produce 144 kilowatts. So this is basically an all-wheel drive HiLux. And in that sense, actually, it's the only all-wheel drive HiLux on sale. Range figures are not particularly impressive, with the SR5 style side offering a range of just 315 kilometers. And look, that's obviously not going to be good enough for most tradies and traditional buyers that want a workhorse. That figure is also going to drop pretty quickly if you decide to tow with it or carry stuff in the back. Speaking of which, the SR5 has a payload capacity of 715 kilograms, which is not that far off some dual cab diesel utes out there, but the towing capacity is just 2,000 kilograms. You've got a GVM of 3,170 kilograms and a GCM of 4,670. But this is one of the heaviest Hiluxes on sale, with a curb weight of 2,455. So at maximum towing capacity, you've got 515 kilograms left in the GVM, once you account for 200 kilogram tow ball download, but you'll run into the GCM first with just 215 kilograms left over. And that's keeping in mind you are only towing 2,000 kilograms, compared with the diesel Hilux, which can tow 3.5 tons. So what's it like out on the road? Well, let's go for a drive and see. At the moment, I've got 95% battery, and it's saying we've got 268 kilometers range. If I activate the climate control, that drops down to 238 kilometers. So we just lost 30 kilometers just by having the aircon on. So as you can imagine, hook a trailer up to this or fill up the back with some gear to weigh it down, the range is going to be, you know, chewed through pretty quickly, I suspect. We don't have any towing gear or anything we can try out today, but yeah, I suspect the range is not going to be the best when you're carrying and hauling things. Again though, this is designed for fleet departments and so on that are just running around on a you know, wide property, need to get from one end to the other. Now the ride comfort is definitely different from the normal SR5. Since this is quite a bit heavier, about 400 kilograms heavier, they've obviously got revised suspension and so on, but it is quite jiggly, and I suspect that's because they want this to maintain the Hilux capability off-road and carrying things, although the towing capacity is down. It's still got to offer that, you know, a similar level of capability, and I think that means, well, I think that's why the suspension is quite a bit firm and jiggly. Look, if you fill it up with a couple of people, I think it would be better. I wouldn't say it's the worst ute that I've tested in terms of ride quality, in terms of the jiggliness. It's not super rigid, it's just, yeah, you can sort of see the steering wheel vibrating a little bit over certain corrugated, poorly surfaced tarmac roads like this, and on the dirt it's shaking a little bit as well. You do have those big balloony tyres though, so they absorb some of the impacts. But before we get the battery down even lower, let's turn the climate control off and do a quick 0 to 100 somewhere. Alright, I've got the V-Box on there, I've got traction control turned off. I'm in sport mode, let's see how we go. And that is 100. So obviously with an electric motor, you've got that immediate response off the line, and that is, yeah, more responsive than the 2.8 turbo diesel Hilux, but it did sort of taper off once I passed about 70, 80 kilometers an hour. And that's pretty typical of an EV. But I'll pull over in a sec and we'll have a look at that time. But it felt reasonably quick. That's done 8.74. So that is quicker than a 2.8 turbo diesel Hilux, if you're wondering. In terms of the rest of the drive character, it feels pretty much like a normal HiLux. Apart from the jigglier suspension, it's basically the same. Similar steering as well. I mean, the latest HiLux has got an EPS system now anyway, so fully electric. I'm guessing it's pretty much the same, or it feels the same. It's just probably tuned slightly differently for the electric setup, a bit heavier. I like the new interior of the latest model. It's a bit chunkier, a bit more modern, and it is quite practical and functional. Aside from this big pocket down here on the dashboard, I'm not sure what you could use that for. But yeah, you've got heated seats in the front, and then power adjustment for the driver as well. Good visibility all round, just like the regular HiLux. You don't have a massive side mirror there, so that doesn't block the view. Nice thin A-pillar so you can see around and over the top of the mirror. Yeah, it's a very drivable car, very practical, functional. It's a ute. It's like a generic ute. Not saying that in a bad way, but it does what it says on the tin. Having it in sport mode definitely sharpens up the throttle response a bit, so just push it half throttle and it just, yeah, really picks up compared with the normal mode, which is a bit more sort of natural, I guess. Yeah, you push the pedal halfway, you're kind of getting half acceleration, like the diesel version basically. Some EVs are like a light switch. You just, you know, push the pedal a little bit, it just gives you all the power straight away, because obviously you don't have to wait for an electric motor to rev up to produce its power and torque. But yeah, I think the throttle calibration here is quite good. In the normal mode as well, if you're off-roading, you don't want a sensitive throttle. You just want to have it quite relaxed, so when you're hitting bumps and so on, it's not, you know, jerking the car and causing it to lurch forward. Now, we do have an all-wheel drive system basically. This is not like the regular HiLux with low range and a transfer case and all of that. So you've got constant all-wheel drive grip, pretty much. It will sort out the power. In fact, there is a gauge here we can look at. Yeah, and it's sending, you see the graphs there pop up for all four wheels. Actually, we'll just try a standing start on this gravel section. Let's get over this crest. Just here, nobody behind me. Just watch that graph. Yeah, maximum power is going to all four wheels. Look, I don't think this is going to be a sales success per se compared with the regular HiLux, but it's here as an option. Apparently they've taken around 300 orders already. They're not expecting huge numbers either. They're not pitching this as a high volume model. It's just an option for those that want it. And I think it's good that Toyota has done that by not tarnishing the regular HiLux. Those who want the 2.8 diesel, it's still there. You don't have that hasn't touched, that hasn't been changed at all. This is just available as an option. So I'll see if we can do some off-roading further up the hill just to see how it is. You've got about 217 millimeters of ground clearance available, which is about average for a dual cab ute. I mean, they probably average around 220 roughly. But yeah, it's not a major sacrifice compared with other models. Okay, so going up this sort of steepish gravel road, throttle calibration seems to be very good. Like, it's not instantly spinning the wheels at every chance it gets. It's actually just giving you just enough power and torque to get up the hill, not just enough, but enough without being in excess, so causing wheel spin and so on. I found a mild off-road track. I mean, you wouldn't be able to take a standard little crossover up here. It's a bit rugged and a bit rocky, but it'll just give us an opportunity to see what this all-wheel drive system is like, going over the bumps and so on, and how it handles the steepness of the hill. So we're probably going to reach, I don't know, 20 degrees or something like that by the looks of the gauge. Gets a little bit more serious further up. It's not scrubbing out the belly, going over that crest. And yeah, with that immediate response, I've just got my foot down, you know, not even a quarter, and it's just easing it up. It's not too sensitive though, it's just easing it up nicely. I mean, obviously low range is preferable in serious off-road ruts and so on, and steep climbs, but let's see how we go over these rocks. Yeah, it's having no problem with traction at all. It's just climbing over as it would in the diesel version. Now, going back down, obviously without low range, that's where you don't get the engine braking, so I've just got to use the pedal, the brake pedal, to slowly ease back down. So yeah, I mean, if you're serious about off-roading, you'd go with the diesel anyway, but that is one thing that you're kind of missing compared with the diesel. But overall, this has done fairly well. Like it's pretty much a 2.8 turbo diesel Hilux, just without low range, a smaller range overall, but very similar fundamentals, very similar drive character. I'll have more information in the written review linked in the description of this video.